What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Penn State 365 podcast on HappyValleyInsider.com. I'm your host, Richie O'Leary of PennState.Rivals.com, a.k.a. Happy Valley Insider. And some breaking news today. Penn State has found their running backs coach. Didn't really take that long for this one. That was nice and easy and simple. And I'm going to argue Penn State actually got an upgrade there. But before I dive into all that, this podcast is sponsored by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is... I got to find this little... ad read. SeatGeek is a digital ticket platform that allows users to buy and sell tickets for live events such as concerts, sporting events, musicals, and more. The company's mission is to help people experience happiness through live events. Use the promo code Penn State Rivals, all one word, PennStaterivals, all one word, all capital. Throw it in that promo code section. You get $20 off your order of $50 or more. I mean, if you already, and it's for new accounts only, but if you already have a SeatGeek account, make a new account, make a new email, get another $20 off your purchase. You can buy tickets to Penn State football later on this year. You can buy tickets to Penn State basketball that's coming up this weekend, or Penn State wrestling, or anything else. Or you want to go to a concert, etc., etc. You want to go to a Sixers game? I don't know, man. You want to go to any live event? Use SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code. Get your $20 off. Why not? Abuse the hell out of it. Anyway, back to the good stuff. Penn State lost their running backs coach in Juwan Seider on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. A little bit of a news dump there, but in reality, it didn't happen on Sunday. It happened on like Friday or Saturday. I forget what day it was. But regardless, Juwan Seider now leaves Penn State to join Notre Dame. Why does he do that? He's been with the program since 2018, came over from Florida guy. Why is he leaving right now? Because Notre Dame had an opening at running backs coach after their running backs coach left for the NFL. So, I think he's actually with the Las Vegas Raiders, I believe he joined. Either way, the 47-year-old coach, Juwan Seider, now has decided to leave. Why is he leaving? Sounds like family members wanted out-of-state college. They were just over it, and I get it to an extent, but it's not for everybody. So, and on top of it, he's going to get paid 7 figures a year as a running backs coach. That's wild. Like, absolutely insane. That's like top 2, top 3 running backs coach salaries in the country. It's rumored that at Penn State he was making around like $700K. Those numbers aren't officially public, so you can't really judge too much, but that's what we've heard via sources. Anyway, under his tutelage at Penn State, he's seen the development of multiple key running backs. Miles Sanders, NFL guy. Journey Brown would have been an NFL guy if the injury stuff didn't happen, off the field stuff. Nick Singleton going to be an NFL back. Katron Allen going to be an NFL back. And he's also a damn good recruiter. He's recruited these guys, too. He's not only just developing them, but he's also recruiting them. He also has a 4-star Messiah Mickens, who's currently committed in 2026, top 150 kid, a 4-star top 50 kid in 2027 in Keemon Spell. So he's done a hell of a job recruiting, and it's not just at running back, too. He's from Florida, like I mentioned before. He's one of their main reasons that they were able to recruit Florida so well. He's able to sell the program to them, saying, hey, I'm from Florida. I'm up here now. I'll help you develop, blah, 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 all that other stuff. Now, losing him definitely hurts. It's no secret. He was not just your running backs coach. He was your run game coordinator, your assistant head coach, your co-OC. Now, most of those titles are just nonsense, to be honest with you. But in reality, you get those titles meaning that the coach is trying to make you stick around, give you a pay bump, here's a title. Give you a pay bump, here's another title. Give you another pay bump, here's another title. They've done everything possible over the past couple of years to retain Juwan Seider because he's that damn good of a recruiter and that good of a talent developer. But here's the difference. I think Penn State just upgraded with their new hire in Stan Drayton. Stan Drayton is a dog and a veteran presence, and he might have sucked as a head coach. That's fine. It's not made for everyone. The job is tough. It's just the same thing we say with coordinators. Some of these coordinators get head coach jobs, and I'm like, all right, let's see how he is as a head coach. It doesn't work out. Look at I'm going to use a Giants example because I'm a Giants fan. Pat Shurmur, for example, sucked as a head coach. Absolutely awful with the Giants. He's been a great OC everywhere he's went, though. Look at what he just did with Deion's kid in Colorado. Turned him into a potential number 1 pick. Now, I think Abdul Carter might have something to say with that, but besides the point, turned him into a top 3 pick, top 4 pick, whatever. Anyway, Stan Drayton, guy's been coaching forever. Deep ties to the state of Pennsylvania. Attended and then coached at Allegheny. Coached running backs at Penn in 95. Coached at Villanova from 96 to 99, where he helped develop some guy named Brian Westbrook. You might have heard of him. As a Giants fan, unfortunately, I've heard too much of him growing up. But anyway, Brian Westbrook at Villanova, Carlos Hyde at Ohio State, Ezekiel Elliott at Ohio State, Bijan Robinson at Texas. This guy's been everywhere. He's got 2 national titles on his resume, both under Urban Meyer at Florida and Ohio State. Coached in the league with the Packers for a little bit. Coached in the league with the Bears in 2015-16 with, I believe it was Matt Forte and someone else. I forget who the other back was. Coached at Syracuse, so he's been in the Northeast. Coached in the Pennsylvania Ties I mentioned. Coached in the Midwest with Bowling Green. SEC with Florida and Mississippi State. This guy has been everywhere and anywhere. He has been one of the best talent developers in the country in terms of running backs, as you could see. And he's just not a talent developer. He's also a really good recruiter. And he's able to walk in right now and be like, hey, look at these 2 rings I got here. This is national championship. We're going to get this national championship this year. I think you combine that with Jim Knowles, you just added 2 national championship level coaches to that staff. That's what you need. You need winners. Winning's contagious. You want winners on your staff, proven winners. If guys have developed talent at lower levels, but they're still losing programs, I don't like that because it just doesn't scream like winning to me. You need a winning attitude. And yeah, maybe those guys could develop into like really good recruiters, really good coaches, but getting a guy that's done it before at not only this level, but like the highest of high levels at Florida, where that team was arguably one of the best teams I've seen in recent history. At Ohio State, which ran through the college football playoff in, 2012, I think it was, despite probably shouldn't have been in the first place. But besides the point, he's done it. He's won a chip twice. Same thing with Jim Knowles. They can just flex these rings, and it's so easy to sell that to recruits, number one. Number two, the development. Like Brian Westbrook, it's not like just, oh yeah, he developed at some of the big schools like Bijan Robinson, like Carlos Hyde, Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah, it's easy to develop those guys when they're 4 or 5 stars out of high school. Then you go back to some of his other days. He got like Brian Westbrook at Villanova, turned into one of the better running backs in Eagles history. Like, it's kind of crazy, but a really, really good get. Tons of experience. Has been coaching since '93. This was the home run hire of the group when we mentioned it. As soon as Jawan Seider left, this was the guy that everyone kept talking about. Everyone's like, oh, Stan Drayton's available. He just left Temple. Like, he wasn't really that good of a head coach there. That's fine. But it just worked out really, really well. Now, they also interviewed guys like Savon Huggins. They had some interest in E.J. Barthel out of Nebraska. Savon Huggins, I forgot to mention, Boston College. We know Jonathan Lawrence was a guy Jonathan Wallace, there was a guy they were keeping an eye on out of Kansas. Charles Walker, who's on staff for now. See if that lasts, because I know he's close with Seider. He could end up going to Notre Dame as well. Demir Shaw out of Rutgers was another one. Calvin Lowry out of Middle Tennessee State. There's a couple other names out there too, but out of everyone on that list, Stan Drayton was the one that stood out the most, not only because of his background, his resume, but his proven talent developing. Like, it's just, talent development. You want to get, and don't get me wrong, it's not that hard to coach guys like Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. Let's be honest. At this point in their careers, they're already super studs. Superstars. I don't know what you want to call them, to be honest, but it doesn't matter in much that regard. It's more about having a guy out there that can just even tweak them a little bit to get them to a different level. They're already up here, but if you can get them here, even that little gap, it's going to make all the difference in the world. Because we've seen those two struggle at times. There's moments where they do, of course, as does every other running back in the country. But having him in there to be able to develop those guys and his talent evaluation skills, I'm really curious to see how he can develop some of these younger guys. Now, I know it's technically a 1-year deal, and I want to talk on that too. It's a 1-year deal because he has a buyout from Temple that's paying him a fuck ton of money. So you don't really want to tweak that deal too much, because you don't want to like leverage it to be like, oh, you know what, he's this good of a coach, let's give him 7 figures too as a running backs coach, but Temple's paying him 7 figures. You want to like equal it out to make him happy either way, so he's still getting that whatever 4 or 5 mil from Temple, and then still figure out how Penn State's going to be able to pay like 700 or maybe even less than that. We don't know the details of the deal yet. Nothing's been, well, they don't make them public, but nothing's been leaked out yet. So we'll wait and see. But it is a 1-year deal. But it's just a 1-year deal that could be continuous, honestly. If he wants to stay, if they win a chip or get pretty close to the chip, I imagine he'd probably stay, signs a new one, and still kind of equals out that payoff that he's still getting from Temple. But either way, how does this help recruiting-wise? Now, it's like I said before, it's easy to sell when you have 2 national championship rings. You can just be like, here, look at these. You want to do that? Let's go win a chip with Penn State. Of course, if you win one in year 1, it's an even easier sell, but everyone's going to be trying to poach your staff at that point. I think Messiah Mickens has to be the very first phone call that you make. We know Messiah Mickens. Let me see if I can pull this up. He is very close with Juwan Seider. There's no secret about that. Now, where's the tweet? He posted a tweet. Messiah Mickens, Harrisburg kid. He posted this tweet. How do I screen share? For those of you that are on YouTube watching, he posted this tweet right here of obviously my guy. Right after Juwan Seider ended up leaving for the Notre Dame job. Not a great sign. We know him. We know they're very close. We'll see what happens. We know he's going to take official visits. So I wouldn't be surprised if Notre Dame gets one. I know Penn State's going to get one. We know some other West Coast schools. We know Stanford was pushing. We know someone else was pushing too. I think it was Miami, but I got to double check on that one. Either way, it sucks because he did shut down his recruitment back in January 26th, 27th, something like that. Shut it down, said, I'm done, and then Juwan Seider ends up leaving, and it's like, oh, shit, okay, maybe I'm not done. He's going to take some visits. He's going to look around the country. He's going to see what's what in terms of other schools. That being said, I would be shocked if he does not sign with Penn State come signing day, December, whatever it is, December 2025. They have a really good shot of still keeping him. I think Stan Drayton gets that phone call, gets on the phone with him, says, hey, man, like, I just want to let you know, like, you're my number one target. You always have been. You're committed already. I want to still build that relationship with you, and I want to get as tight with you as you are with Seider or someone like that. So I still think Messiah Mickens is very solid. He's going to take visits, though, and we know James Franklin isn't a fan of that, but in scenarios like this where it's a Harrisburg kid, a local kid, a top-ranked kid, you let him take the visits and just trust your gut. Trust the fact that you're Penn State. You're his in-state school. You're the school he committed to already. You're the school he wants to be at. Yes, did you lose the coach that he was really close with? Yes, but in reality, you don't choose a program because of a coach. You choose a program because of the program. You can argue the head coach a little bit differently. James Franklin's still there. Still have a good relationship with him. Coltonicki, as of right now, is still there. Wouldn't shock me if he leaves after this season, to be honest, just because he's just become such a damn good OC, and he's been a candidate for head coaching jobs already. Either way, I'd be shocked if Messiah Mickens does not end up signing with Penn State. On top of that, you also have a guy in Kevin Brown, teammate, top 60, like top 25, like-ish, recruit in the country. Offensive tackle out of Harrisburg, committed to Penn State for a while now. Probably in his ear every day. I'm sure he sees this stuff on Twitter. He sees Messiah Mickens post him outsider, and he's probably walking up to him right away and just be like, dude, who cares? We got Stan Drayton. Like, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Like, oh, remember Nick Singleton, Katron Allen? You're going to be the next up. That's all you got to really tell him. I'm sure they're actually talking more in depth than that, but having a teammate at his high school every day, having Harrisburg, which has always been very kind to Penn State, having that coaching staff very tight with the Penn State staff always helps. Again, he can take any visit he wants. You got to be confident if you're Penn State, and I'm still confident that he's going to sign with Penn State when it's all said and done. Who else? Keemon Spell. Keemon Spell is a 2027 top 50-ish. I think he's like 58, 59, something like that, in the 2027 class. He's committed. He's been committed for a while. I don't see anything to worry about. I know no one's really talking about him, and I think that's a good thing because there's nothing to talk about. He's very solid. He's solidly committed. Has he added offers from other schools since committing to Penn State? Yeah, 100%. But it doesn't seem to bother him at all. He's just more so just saying, hey, look, I got another offer. I'm racking them up now. He's just very, very talented. We know they have another 2027 commit in Leighton Von Brandt. How is this going to affect them in terms of Florida recruiting? I think that's where it's going to affect them the most. And it's not going to be running backs. It's going to be everything else. So I'm trying to look at this coaching staff right now. Now, I know they added some other off-the-field guys, but no one really screams Florida ties to me. I know Terry Smith's got some decent Florida ties in terms of coaches he knows and stuff like that. I'm trying to think who else. I don't really think there is anyone else. Seider was the lead guy for all those Florida recruits for the most part. So someone's going to have to shift and take over that Florida region. Where's the coaches? Here we go. Well, we know the coordinators aren't going to go on the road too much. You'll see them occasionally, but very, very, very rarely. Like I said, Terry Smith will be fine with coaching or recruiting some Florida guys. I think someone's going to have to step up, whether that be we know Trout is pretty good with Florida guys, of course, being a Florida guy himself. But you need someone to step up in terms of skill positions. Offensive line, I'm not worried about. I trust Howell. I trust Troutline to basically find under the radar gems at offensive line. I'd argue Poindexter. Maybe Barnes gets more involved with Florida recruiting. It's very possible. But Terry's probably going to be that guy for Florida recruiting. I'm curious to see how they end up doing in Florida when it's all said and done. There's some off-the-field assistants that they could send out on the road too, of course, because there's just no limit to the amount of assistant coaches you can have now, which is always nice. That's how they got Greg Gattuso. That's how they got Andrew Jackson from technically from West Virginia, but in reality, he was let go, I think, by the new staff, or wasn't rehired by the new staff, I should say. That will be interesting to see if he gets down to Florida. I know he's recruited there for West Virginia over the past couple of years. He was at Mississippi State for a couple of years and kind of understands how things work, but a name to monitor. But yeah, no, I mean, there's not really much else to say on this. I think that Stan Drayton, Super Bowl Sunday, they lost their guy. 5 days later, they got their guy. Like I said, probably an upgrade, if I had to guess. Not if I had to guess. I'm actually very confident that he is an upgrade over Seider. I think that Stan Drayton has all the resume in the world, has the recruiting notches in his belt. He has head coaching experience, which is so underrated. I know it's at Temple, but just to have head coaching experience in general is so underrated. And I said this too, actually, when they hired Greg Gattuso in our other podcast. You hire him from Albany, winning head coach. You hire Stan Drayton from Temple, not a winning head coach, but has been around a ton of different programs where they have won, like Urban Meyer, for example, who's won multiple chips, including one in the Big Ten. Trying to think who else he's been around. Yeah, and I didn't even name half of the other running backs. Jonathan Brooks, who's in the league now. Chris Rainey, Jarius Norwood, Jaden Blue. Like, the list goes on and he's really, like, helped develop. Like, it's kind of crazy. So, yeah, looking back at it, I think I wouldn't say we overreacted. I'd say we reacted accordingly for Seider leaving. It's definitely a big blow to lose someone like that because he's been with the program since 2018, and it's just the consistency that's been in that room since 2018. That's, you got to think also, that's 4, 5, 6 years, 6 seasons. So, yeah, it was a big blow to the program to lose Seider. But in reality, adding Drayton at the very worst case scenario is a wash, if not an upgrade. Like I said, I think it's an upgrade 100% in my opinion. I think some other people can argue maybe it's a slight downgrade, but I just don't see it. I think if you put the resumes up to one another and you just put a blindfold over the names, or put a blindfold over your eyes and just didn't know what name was which, put the resumes side by side, show the accomplishments, and show the players that they developed, and you didn't know who was either coach, I think 90% of the time you're picking Drayton's side. That 2 national championships is a difference maker. Now, the one guy has experience and has been with Penn State forever, yes, but in reality, this is just another upgrade. And that's now 2 upgrades for Penn State. Penn State lost 2 assistant coaches this offseason. In DC, Tom Allen. In running backs coach Dwan Seider. And I'd argue you upgraded big time in both. So, anyway, that's really all we got today. Spoke pretty much all about the Stan Drayton news. It's huge. I'm sorry, I said 6 seasons before with Seider. It's been 7 seasons. But yeah, I mean, huge deal to get this one done, get it over the finish line. We know he was very interested from the start. We know he was on campus this weekend for an interview. I'm sorry, not this weekend, earlier this week for an interview. And that basically just sealed the deal. Really, really good get for Penn State. And I don't think we're done yet because recruiting is heating up. There's been several prospects that have confirmed official visits. If you haven't seen that already, we have plenty of articles on the front page of pennstate.rivals.com. Oh, excuse me. We will do a recruiting podcast YouTube show very soon, breaking down all that. It's a dead period right now, so we'll kind of wait to see where everyone schedules and then probably get one a little later in the month, maybe next week even. But if you want to check out who has visited the program or who's scheduled to visit the program in spring and summer for official visits, go to happyvalleyinsider.com. I'm going to show you real quick right now. Here we go. Go to happyvalleyinsider.com. This is what the front page looks like. Plenty of articles like here's an update on a 26 kid. No, here's an official visit. Sanders Seider just left the program. A little notable there. You go right here. You go to forums. You go to Lions Den. The Lions Den is the premier forum for everything Penn State related. Tons of things on here. The Ask the Staff thread that we do every week. Tons of people talking about Stan Drayton already. There's also, and if you don't want to go to the paid forum, the paid forum is free with a 30-day trial if you use the promo code 30RIVALS, 30 RIVALS, one word. If you don't want to do that, check out our free board right here. Tons of stuff going on. People were reacting to LeVar Arrington getting number 11. Sorry, LeVar Arrington, the second, getting number 11. Katie Schumacher-Cawley got an extension through 2030. Stan Drayton hired, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everything Penn State related. You want to chat with some buddies, or you want to make some new friends, talk about Penn State. You want to argue about Penn State. You want to argue about the basketball team not being better. Feel free to. We have the number one wrestling board on there as well. We have a bunch of other stuff, but for me and everyone else here at happyvalleyinsider.com, a.k.a. pennstate.rivals.com, that's another edition of the Penn State 365 podcast, signing off.